What's up, friends? I'm Tony, and I try to never exaggerate, and even so, I will tell you that meditation is by far the habit that has had the biggest impact in my life. We live in a world that is overflowing with information, and that often causes our attention to jump from one place to the next. We're often lamenting about something that happened in the past, or worrying and obsessing about something that we think that might happen sometime in the future. And a lot of people live their entire lives without realizing that they never lived in the present moment. That is where meditation comes in. There is nothing material to buy, no external goals to achieve, and nothing that is not already here and now, and that has been here and now all along. It involves nothing more than sitting down in silence to observe the mind. And those external things that we can achieve or that we can buy don't even come close to what you find through meditation. That is why today I'm going to show you what I've learned through meditating daily for the past couple of years, what my daily meditation routine is, and what I think is an excellent way to start meditating in case you haven't tried it before and are thinking about giving it a try. In the beginning, it can be very hard to sit down in silence, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And one thing that happened to me is that sometimes it felt like I wasn't making any progress early on. But thankfully, I decided to stick with it, and I found a way to enjoy the process, and I eventually started to see the benefits in my day-to-day life. The main difference between people that successfully adopt meaningful habits and the ones who don't comes down to consistency. Coming back each day, even though external factors may be acting against it. It is worth it in the end because it is well known that daily meditation practice can have significant benefits in your mental and physical health. It can boost the immune system, decrease anxiety levels, increase your focus, and it can even help you with your sleep. Meditation literally activates and rewires the connections of your brain. That's why I think it is really important to talk about it in this channel, where we seek to spark our brains to see what we're capable of and inspire others to do the same. If I had to say what meditation was in a single sentence, I would say that it's all about familiarizing ourselves with the present moment. You sit down in silence to step out of the thinking mind, and you start to let go of the storylines that you have going on in your head. One tricky part is that we try to do this without suppressing or resisting thoughts in any way. On the type of meditation that I practice, you place your attention on an anchor, like the breath. And when you notice the mind wandering off to some storyline or chasing after some train of thought, instead of resisting or suppressing the thought, you instead welcome it, you accept it, and you simply let it go. And then bring your attention back to the breath. And repeat this when the mind inevitably wanders off again. After some time of doing this consistently, the mind naturally starts to calm down, and we can say that there are two components that we cultivate through time. One is clarity, that comes from dialing down the noise and the distortions from the mind and seeing things for what they truly are. And the second one is compassion, an intrinsic sense of connection with the world around us and the realization that we share more similarities than we do differences. You start to understand your mind better, and that leads you to understand the minds of others better. The Dalai Lama once said that if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation. It truly has the power to transform the way we see the world around us. It's all about discovering and understanding something that has always been there and that will always be there. With these discoveries, you start to find a place of quiet confidence. And before I explain what that is, it's important to keep in mind that explaining meditation will always be only words that will never come close to the experience itself. It's not enough to talk about meditation. No matter how many videos you watch or how much you listen to me talk about it, the best way to experience the benefits of meditation is to sit down in silence consistently and to see for yourself. So with that said, let's talk about how we can start meditating ourselves. I first started back in 2017 when I downloaded this app called Headspace. It was co-founded by a guy called Andy Puddicombe alongside Richard Pearson. Andy left his studies when he was in his 20s to go to the Himalayas to become a Buddhist monk. And he studied meditation for 10 years until he came back to London with the intention to share meditation with the rest of the world. That's when he paired up with Pearson, and the two of them started Headspace. Andy is actually the voice that guides you through most meditations, and I've become a fan of him over the years because he just seems like a genuine guy who truly knows and lives by what he teaches. Andy and his team explain concepts in ways that are extremely easy to understand. Check out this animation of him explaining the quiet confidence I mentioned earlier.
Confidence is a funny thing. People sometimes assume it's about repeating a story in the mind over and over again, one that makes us look or feel really good. But the problem is, when we have an artificial confidence like this, it's always tinged with fear. What happens if it lets us down? What happens if we lose the storyline? What happens if doubt creeps in, that feeling of, am I living the right way? But there's a kind of confidence, you could call it quiet confidence, that's almost the opposite. It means letting go of all that stuff, putting down the old storylines. And when we let go of it, we experience something else. We experience vulnerability, uncertainty, and openness. But within that, somewhere, we discover quiet confidence. Perhaps it's just a byproduct of being willing to exist without those comforting stories. But the incredible thing is, because it's not separate from ourselves, we can't lose it. It's indestructible, and that's the beauty of it. To rest with that sense of vulnerability, not necessarily knowing, but at the same time being confident in not knowing. That's quiet confidence.
Just like this one, they have many other animations that will help you paint a better picture of many ideas related to meditation. Aside from these, the app has course packs where you get to focus on specific topics and how they relate to meditation. For example, this one on letting go of stress, or navigating change, or reframing loneliness. Some of them are 10 sessions long and others 30 sessions long, and they're meant to be taken daily. You can set up the sessions to be 10 minutes long and up to 20 minutes long. The app also tracks some of your stats, like your current run streak and how many consecutive days you've been meditating for. It has some goals for how long you've kept that run streak. I've actually managed to reach a full year of meditating every day. You can also see your total time meditated, number of sessions, and average session duration. And going back to their animations, I think they're genius. Check out this other one on a good analogy for the mind.
Take a moment to imagine a bright blue sky stretching off into the distance. Feels pretty good, right? This is a perfect metaphor for the mind, a blank canvas on which thoughts, feelings, and experiences appear. Okay, so maybe there are just a few clouds, but they tend not to bother us or distract us too much, especially if they're the cute little fluffy variety. This is how the mind appears when it's calm, bright, serene, and happy. But life isn't always easy. Sometimes there are a lot more clouds in the sky. Sometimes it might be the dark and stormy variety. Occasionally, we might even begin to wonder if a hurricane's on the way. It gets to the point that it's hard to think of anything else. In fact, sometimes we get so obsessed by the clouds that we forget about the blue sky altogether. But it's still there. Every time you're in a plane and you fly through the clouds, there it is, right? Without fail, blue sky. It's easy to forget that what we're looking for is already here. And that's why we need reminding.
That last part. It's easy to forget that what we're looking for is already here, and that's why we need reminding. The app also has many things aside from courses and animations. It has a section on sleep, another one on exercise, and even one on focused music. I don't really use those other features personally, but they might be worth exploring. Keep in mind that even though I downloaded the app in 2017, I didn't get consistent right away. I started with the beginner's pack and then I stopped for a while and then I came back, I think it was in 2019. And that is when I started to meditate consistently and daily until I eventually got to a point where I was meditating 20 minutes each day. So the way that I use the app is that I wake up every morning and I go out for a run, and when I come back, I take a cold shower and then I sit down and do a 20-minute meditation on any given course that I'm going through at that moment in the app. Then after meditating, I usually have a very clear mind. So I sit down and I structure my day and I do a little writing. Then I have breakfast and then I finally start to work at around 8:30 in the morning, either at the office or in this project. Even though at this point I could sit down and do 20 minutes with no guidance, I still do the Headspace courses because there is always something new to learn. I even often repeat some of the courses several times because there will always be more value to get from them. Also, aside from the mornings, I usually go through my day and then in the afternoon, I sit down for another meditation session. And this one I do unguided for 60 minutes. These afternoon sessions are harder to stick to on weekends or on days that I have other plans. But if that's not the case, I always try to keep them at top priority. Of course, I didn't start off with this routine right away. This routine is something that I've built up over time. At the beginning, I was doing very short sessions. If you're just starting off, I would recommend starting with as little as 3 minutes, and depending on how that feels, you can then gradually increase the duration. I would say that in the beginning, something that is way more important than the duration and the time that you're sitting down is actually building the habit of setting some time aside each day to sit down and meditate. Even if it's just for 3 minutes, by scheduling it and sitting down each day, you're building the habit. If you do this consistently, then you'll naturally gain more confidence and you will be able to sit down for longer over time. I have gotten to this point and the point where I am today only by using the Headspace app, so there is no doubt I would absolutely recommend it. It is a paid subscription and I'm not sure if the price may depend on the area that you're at. This is what I see on May 2022, and they do offer a free trial period that you can try and see if you like it. I know it's a little obvious based on my channel stats, but of course they're not sponsoring this video, and I don't get anything out of it if you decide to use the app. I just really love it, and I think that the subscription is hands down one of the best investments I've made. So that's what I would recommend to anyone who's thinking about starting off with meditation, or to anyone who already meditates and wants to deepen their practice. And those were the things I've learned, that through meditation you find clarity, find compassion, and a place of quiet confidence. Keep in mind that all of these have different names depending on who talks about them and their culture. But remember that it's not about the names. Names and words are simply signs and labels that point all to the same reality. Take Mount Everest, for example. Tibetans call it Chomolungma, Nepalis call it Sagarmatha, and then we call it Mount Everest. Different people call it different names, but in the end, the rock formation is the same regardless of what name it's given. So when it comes to what we find through meditation, instead of arguing over what names we're giving it or what words we're using, we should simply be curious, open-minded, and wonder if we're all using different words to refer to the same thing. The only way to find out is to see for ourselves through our own experience. I have a long way to go, but I can tell you that from what I have experienced this far, meditation practice is something that I do not plan on ever letting go. We all have our own versions of the pillars that we have in our lives. For example, we can't live without food, sleep, and at least some degree of movement. Well, if those were 3 pillars of my life, I would say that meditation has become the 4th pillar. And it's become a day-to-day practice that has led me through an ongoing path that I'm excited to keep traveling through. And with that said, that is what I had for you today. I hope you decide to give meditation a shot, because one of the many benefits that it has is that it will stretch and it will activate your brain. And that is what we're all here to do together. I am also working very hard on offering you ways that you can apply and experiment the things that I talk about in this channel. And that's why I became a teacher on Skillshare. Even though I don't have a course on meditation just yet, I have one that you can also use to stretch your brain and learn accelerated learning techniques by learning how to code in Python in 30 days by spending 15 minutes each day, even finishing up with a final project where you will build your own Python application. It is meant for complete beginners or for people who have already learned Python in the past and are looking for a structured refresher. The link is in the description with a 1-month free trial with Skillshare, so you can check out my course and support the channel as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and click that bell button so you get notified whenever I post my next video. But until then, I'll see you around.